Welcome back to All Things Jira. I'm back with another weird story that I found on the internet. Well, this story is actually more crazy than weird, but this story is about a little girl that was found floating out to sea in 1961. A freighter sailing around the Bahamas spotted a small cork float floating out to sea. Now, as they approached the float, they realized there was an 11-year-old girl in the float. This little girl was nearly dead. This little girl was named Terry Jo Deperalt. She was 11 years old. Terry's father was an eye doctor from Wisconsin. His name was Arthur Deperalt. He was married. He had 3 children. One of them was Brian. He was 14. Terry Jo was 11. And then they had a younger child, Renee, who was 7. Arthur and his wife really wanted to take their children out for an adventure. They wanted to take them on a really nice vacation. So they saved up for a few years to be able to charter a boat. They chartered a boat. It was a 60-foot ketch called the Bluebell. They planned on taking a week-long trip from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas. Now, the father, Arthur Deperalt, he wasn't a good sailor, so he hired a captain. His name was Julian Harvey. Julian had recently gotten married. He had been married for about 4 months, and he decided to bring his wife with him, and the family agreed that that would be okay. Julian was going to take over. He was going to take over everything on the ship. He was going to take care of everything, and the family was just going to be able to relax and have a good time. They set sail on November 8th, 1961. The first 4 days of the trip were perfect. They had a great time. They were sailing around, having a good time. The boat headed east to the island of Bimini. Then they eventually spotted Sandy Point. They decided to drop anchor there and have fun on the beach and just have a good time on the island and eventually snorkel and do some other things. They had so much fun in this island, they decided they were going to come back before Christmas. They set sail again to head home on November 12th, 1961. They set sail that evening. It was going to take them all night to get back home. Shortly after they set sail, Terry Jo was tired, so she went down to the cabin and decided to go to sleep, and she was just going to sleep the rest of the trip. Now, she was awakened in the middle of the night by her little brother screaming. She heard him screaming, "Help, Daddy, help." Based on information received later, the investigators came up with a sequence of events. They believed that the captain, Julian Harvey, had attacked his wife on the ship that evening, and that the father, Arthur, had came across this. He saw what was happening and he stepped in to try to help the captain's wife. Harvey killed Arthur during this struggle, and after he killed Arthur, he went to the deck and killed all the other family members that were out on the deck. Terry Jo was below deck, and she came up after she heard her brother screaming. She came up to see what was going on. When she came up onto the deck, she found her mother and her brother laying on the deck, dead in a pool of blood. After she saw this, she went to go find the captain to try to figure out what was going on. When the captain saw her, he pushed her back down below deck. So she went down there and she hid because she had no clue what was going on. Soon, Terry Jo realized that the cabin was starting to fill with water. So she ran out and went back up to the deck. Now, the cabin was filling with water because Captain Harvey had opened the sea valve, hoping to sink the ship. When he saw Terry Jo, he gave her a rope that was attached to a dinghy that was floating out in the water. He told her to hold onto the rope and not to let go. Now, he left her there, and apparently he was going to get a knife. He was going to get a weapon to come back and kill Terry Jo because he couldn't have any witnesses to what he had done. Terry Jo realized that there was something going on, so when he left, she let go of the rope and went and hid again. So Captain Harvey comes back and sees that the dinghy is floating out. Terry Jo has dropped the rope, so he jumps into the ocean thinking that Terry Jo is out in that dinghy floating away. So he swims over to the dinghy and realizes that Terry Jo is not in there. He assumed that she drowned, and apparently he had put in the body of little Renee in this dinghy as well. Terry Jo spotted a small cork float on the ship. She got the float. She got into the sea and started to float away. Now, there were a lot of high waves at the time, so those waves hid her. So he never saw her floating away. She was out there for quite a few days. She was afraid. She didn't have any food or any water. She thought she was going to die. She had been out in the hot sun during the day. It was really cold out there at night. And after a while being out in the elements, she started to hallucinate. She even thought that she saw an island. She started to try to splash and paddle her way over to the island, and eventually it disappeared. And she realized she was hallucinating and she passed out. She was out there for quite a few days. Captain Theo, a Greek freighter captain, his ship was passing through and he spotted the small cork float. So as they approached the float, they realized that there was a little girl in this float. So he and his crew pulled her up on board and got her medical attention. When they got her medical attention, they realized that she was really badly sunburned, she was badly dehydrated, and she had a temperature of 105. The Coast Guard found Harvey floating in his dinghy going in the opposite direction. When they found him, he had the body of Renee in the float with him. Investigators would later find that Harvey had a lot of issues. He was a 44-year-old military pilot, and he had some serious issues. Apparently, he had decided to take his wife on this trip with him with a plan to kill her. He was going to kill her during the night and throw her overboard. Then he would report her as missing or lost at sea, saying that she fell overboard in the middle of the night and they were unable to find him. They were unable to find her. This wouldn't be the first wife of Harvey's that died. He had 5 previous wives, and one of them died in a mysterious car accident. He had also collected money from a yacht that sank, another boat that sank, and I believe a plane that crashed. And they also realized that he had recently gotten an insurance policy on his new wife. When he was found by the Coast Guard, there was some type of hearing that they did. They were questioning him, asking him what happened. They were trying to figure out why he was out there floating. He told them that there was a sudden storm and lightning strikes that caused the boat to catch fire. He said that Renee was the only one that he could find, that he tried to revive her, but he was unsuccessful. During the hearing, someone interrupted the proceedings to let everyone know that there was another survivor found, and they believed the survivor was from the captain's boat. Once the captain realized that this was Terry Jo and she was still alive, he said he needed to take a break, and they allowed him to do that. But he never returned. They found the captain a day later, dead in the bathroom of his hotel room from an apparent suicide. It took Terry Jo 7 days to recover enough to tell the police what had happened. Eventually, she was sent to her aunt and uncle to be raised by them, and they were happy to have her. To this day, Terry Jo says she can still hear the sound of her brother's screams. All right, guys, so that was the crazy story of a little girl that was found floating at sea. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you've heard this story or not. If you have something that you want me to do a video about, let me know in the comments. But until then, thank you for watching. Bye.